Greetings again from Woodturning with Dick. I've got a lovely little gimlet burr. I love this on here. This is absolutely stunning. Little bald patches and all this here going on. But it's quite an odd shape. And what do you make with that? What do you make? A funny live edge bowl and leave all of this like I have done before? Yeah, pretty nice. But you know, it's going to be another sculptural piece, don't you? I've already found the weighted centre. Just put a spike in the vise and balanced it as you've seen me do before. I figure make this piece into two pieces. Have a base for it to stand on the rods like I have done previously. And I want to incorporate another wood, the Bog Oak, that you see in the background here, into a ring in the middle. But I haven't got any Bog Oak quite big enough, so I'm going to segment it. That line there, that's going to be the high point. This is going to drop back gradually, just a nice curve over there and a sharp curve going down in. And then take a chunk out the middle, and I should have enough depth there to actually make a ball this time, rather than a disc. First thing, flatten that off slightly on the sander, glue a block on, mount it on the lathe, clear out an area here so it's flat enough to put a piece of wood in, sacrificial, glue that in, clamp it in, and then turn a chuck grip into that. As soon as I've done that, I can cut this lot up. And I got myself a new toy. You'll see that come into play later. This is a very, very cracked piece of Bog Oak. Can you see all these cracks across here? Big one here. I'm running low on good pencils. I don't know where my other ones are, my funny ones. Yeah, I'm in need of some funny pencils. If anybody wants to send me a funny pencil, they can. And I'll feature it in a future video. Rather than use Jubilee clips, I thought I'd give this a try. Picked up from Axminster, actually. Stanley strappy fastener thing. I'll take these three out, just use this one and use the strap. Yes, the strap's going to get covered in glue. It's water soluble glue I'm using, Type Bond 1. So hopefully that'll dissolve nice and easily. We'll see. I've turned these up to face the nicest grain. Got some lovely shimmers in the wood here, and there's some cracks around the other side of some of them. I'll deal with the cracks in due course, but right now I need 16 lengths and I need to check the degree angle. So a lot of this Bog Oak has got some nasty ass cracks in places. So I can trim the ends off because, according to the diagram that you can see there, I need 16 blocks of 70, and the angle I need 11.2 degrees. That's where this comes into play, 11.2 degrees. I would say that's 11.2 degrees. Now I can trim them up and get rid of things like that. So that's the side I want on the outside edge. I've cut my angle there already. Got this set up to 70mm. Gonna tidy each one as I go, just to make sure that's a real true measurement. Get that the right way round, and then bosh. Okay, gonna build the circle over here because why not? Huzzah! We've got a circle. Going to tidy up all this burring with a bit of sandpaper, just on the very edges. And then I can get my new strappy clampy thing out. Well, look at that. I got a lollipop. Yeah, this thing is great. Only issue I foresee, rather than using the Jubilee straps or clips or whatever you call it to go around the entire thing, you know, I think it cuts a length, is that one, it puts a little bit of extra pressure on these two at the bottom here, pushing in, and two, this strap's going to get covered in glue. It's water soluble glue, so I will wash / rinse the strap. It should save it, but otherwise it's good. It puts a good amount of pressure on. That's the dry fit, and it fits. There's a lot of cracks in my Bog Oak, but I'm going to glue all this up later with super glue and dust. But all in, I've got myself a nice big ring. That should work quite well. Now, this is an old board I had for a box or something or other, maybe a cupboard once upon a time. But it's got a nice flat edge this side. So I'm going to use this to glue that to, glue all this together, glue that down onto that board, so I can then mount it on the lathe to work that ring. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's raining cats and dogs outside. Thunder, lightning. I see lightning because I keep seeing an occasional flash out the window. Great stuff. I like a good thunderstorm. It's been 24 hours. There's still some thick glue drying down here, but I think the main surface there and the in-between joins all nicely dried. The gaps you can see, I think they're just where I burred it over to get rid of any tear out from the saw cuts. There's a couple of cracks in places, as you are fully aware. So let's have a quick look. I'm just going to trim the outside edge down. Just have a look at the joins a bit closer. That's not bad, you know. Quickly go over that front face. What I want to do on the inside here is just put a little U, not a very deep one, just a tiny bit, so that that can be gilded and really refract the light so that it shines through onto what's going to be either side of this ring. Hopefully it'll work. We'll see. But I'm going to trim this down a bit to get it nice and even. And I'm going to do the hollow. I might actually come down quite a lot. May as well use the parting tool for this. Well, I am really pleased with all the joins. There's not one that's a bit gappy or unsatisfactory. Still going to come down a bit further because that's still a bit fat for my liking. Bring out the trusty carbide. It'll just be nice to get a nice even curve in there. Yeah, that'll do nicely. Let's round the outside. Now here's the thing, I don't want it looking too much like a tyre. No, you know what? Let's make it into a nice big ring, tyre or not. Like a half circle. Yeah, I'm liking that. That's pretty cool. Alright, let me get some sanding done and I'll come back to you. That's a 400 grit finish on that. And Bog Oak does come up really nice, even with just 400. It does like the sander sealer. Now while I was sanding this, I did think, how am I going to hold that in my button jaws with that being so round? Then I came up with a genius idea of actually putting the buttons on the inside, not the outside. You'll see what I mean in a moment. But those joins are brilliant. Really, really pleased. There's one big crack here which I haven't filled very much because I'm actually going to cut that off. And on the inside, I filled a few cracks. This is getting covered in gold on the inside here. Now my original idea and the size of the burr I wanted to make this ring for was to put this in the button jaws and fit just in the middle like that. And I've not seen it done, and I don't know if it's safe, but I'm going to do it anyway at my own risk. I'm going to put the button jaws on the inside of this so that it's putting pressure outwards, but not too much pressure, just enough to hold it on there while I trim this board off and finish all the outside. And so I need to bring all these buttons in quite a long way, probably down to about here. Still not happy about that being too short. That just took me about a minute. Should have taken me about 10 seconds. Blinker, you'll miss that bit of wonderful editing. Damn it, needs to be smaller. Bosh. Right, that's on there nice and securely. Spin it up. Yeah. Nice and round. So effectively, when I cut that off, that's just going to drop away. So absolutely no need to have cut that hole out. You're an idiot. Bob's your uncle. Tied out round this outside edge. Got some sanding to do. This really is beautiful stuff. I love this pattern, so I am going to keep it. A bit like the Malibu I did recently with all the spikes on it. This is just, it's lovely. These bald patches, these patches here, it's lovely. So a lot of that on the outside I'm going to leave. As mentioned before, I'm going to bow that over. Right now I'm just going to dig out the centre to put a piece of wood in there so I can then turn a chuck into it. Because if I try and turn a chuck in there now, I'm going to go quite a bit of depth into the piece, and I want to save a lot of the core of the wood. And that should suffice. Nice and flat through there, or flat enough. Piece of wood, inch thick, turn a chuck grip on the outside of it, glue that in, leave it overnight, and that should do me perfect. Turn it round and do what I want to do on the other side. There you go. I turned down a little bit of very split, very cracked pink ivory that was an offcut from previous project before last, one before that. Anyway, but it was an offcut. It's got some big old splits in it, run all the way through it. It's no good for anything else, so I'm going to use it as a sacrificial piece of wood. It's a bit odd using pink ivory, but I didn't want to use it with all these splits and cracks in it. So c'est la vie. So I've turned that down to fit the hole that I've made in the bottom of the burr. I'll paste some glue on there, put a little bit of glue on the inside of the burr, and then push it in here, clamp it up with the tailstock, let it dry. Granted, it's not a lot to hold it on, but I think it will be enough. And it's on my head be it. I'm not recommending doing this. I'm doing it because I've done it before and I know it works. If it comes off, I will show you. It's in there nice and tight. Let that dry. And then I can start doing that tomorrow night. Sweet. Let's go back to that ring, do some more sanding. Yay. I'll magic that off. So I've taken the majority of that glue block off. And now to shaping. Even just with the tool very roughly taking it off. I do love this stuff. So pretty. Like little cat paw prints. I'll bring this over reasonably sharply to lose a little bit of width. Because I want that to fit in my circle. Well, not quite in the circle, one side of the circle, but I want it just to be within it, if possible. If it doesn't, not too worried. That's getting a little bit more like it. And we're down to the right level because I've got rid of all the top surface. I can now consider where I want to come down. I think almost virtually where it is, so that's the high point. I spend a lot of time just stroking and contemplating what to do, and looking at the angles, looking at the dips and the grooves. It doesn't just happen, you know, you've got to think about it. Sometimes it just happens, other times you really have to kind of work your poor little brain. I think we're safe there. That's plenty of the distance in. I can bring that over, copy that angle, bring it down a bit steeper on the inside. That should leave me with a good sized core. I'm liking that subtle curve around here. Subtle curve continues on this long sticky out bit. It's a technical term, sticky out bit. Nice little bit of patternization going on in this piece too. I've rounded that off slightly because that's going to be my ball anyway. And I think parting tool down through now, not all the way through, just partially, or as far as I'm comfortable doing. I'll open up the gap as I go down so I don't get a catch like I did with the Zero Cote one, because that was just stupid. Yeah. Ooh. So you can see here I marked up exactly the direction I wanted it on its rod, and I figured the hole halfway down the depth of the piece, which I've now drilled, but the drill bit jumped when I was trying to hold it on the drill stand. So my hole is now there, which is slightly off of dead center, but what I can call that, if anyone points it out, the weighted center. So I'll say, look, the majority of the weight's over this side, that's in that off to one side, holding it so it's steady, so there's not too much pressure leaning on the piece all the time. That works for me. So this is what I've got left on the inside, and I've been having a think about this, and I've got the natural edge here, which is undamaged for about, what's that, 1/2 inch? Quite nice if I could incorporate that. I wish I hadn't come down in this corner now, but I don't think it needs to be that fat either. That'll also help me with the hollowing of it, because what I think I'm going to do now is put a hole right the way through this one. Not too thin on the wall, because I still need to drill in and have a rod poking up so that I can display it out the front of the piece. Okay, let's get that outside edge smoothed down, because we've still got the marks from where a jigsaw went, and see what it looks like and have a little think. Next thing, I'm going to take this end off. And I think an even dip in this, even being to here, as you can see, this is a work in progress. I like the fact that it's still in the making. The original idea is there, but this is a slight variation on it. Hollow this out. I'm going to take it all the way through to here. I think, what's that? A 2-inch Forstner bit. I can finish off with the bowl gouge to get my shape on the inside that I want, and I can decide what I'm going to do with the lip that's going to be here. Possibly another U like this one, nice subtle one, just showing off the wood really. And judging by the pink, I've gone all the way through. Which, yes, as dodgy as all hell, because there's only a little bit of glue on that rim holding on. But, you know, it's worked. Lovely. So then I've got a fat bit right in the middle here for my rod that I want to drill in. Next thing is just a nice little U in this side, I think, just to help with the grain and the look and the surface area. Something like that. So I kind of want this bit at the very top. So exactly opposite that is here. Now, if you recall, the drill went off center on the other piece. If I drill a hole the same sort of distance away, put this off center as well, have that going straight down in, then the rod's going to be slightly off to the left like the piece at the back. So that, I think, will complement and coincide with it. I do like these gimlet burrs. Look at that, there's little shards of black in it. Nice thick layer of sander sealer. Obviously I'm going to have to denib that afterwards, but that's nice. That's going to be the top. There's my hole on the bottom. I'll show you that angle I was talking about in a moment when I turn the camera to show you the sander sealer on the end, because I'm good like that. Got a funny feeling this is going to be one of my favourite pieces. Still got quite a bit of work to go before it's finished though. And I'll show you with this pencil the angle. Now, there you go. See the pencil straight up. It's off to one side like the base. That'll work. Sweet. Just cut that up for the base, so I need to finish it. Here's my ring. Happy days. Now going to cut the bottom off. Wish me luck. I've given myself a 10cm tolerance. So if I do mess up the first cut, I've got some room to adjust. Right, earphones and face mask on. I'm really going to push my luck now and just take a little bit more off. What can I use that for? That's better. Cut the pink ivory off with a saw, just nice and flush, being very careful not to catch the edge of this, because this is pristine at the moment, and hopefully will stay that way as I hollow this out. I hate to say it again, but wish me luck. Aha! I'm through. Excellent. That's what I didn't want happening. I can't see any obvious damage marks actually. There's a couple of rashes here. They'll easily stand out. There's no chips, no lumps out. Count myself very lucky. A little bit more carefully next time. A little bit tighter in these buttons. Right. Hopefully that's a little bit more solid. I'm going to do my next bit with the carbide tip. Right, goodbye most of you pink ivory. Now I just need to round that up to get rid of that lip. Gentle straight edge in. And yeah, I think I'll carry on with this for now. Almost where I can go to do some sanding. Just need to shape that a tiny bit more. Bit of a depression here. It's a bit depressed. I can see why it came off the lathe just now. Lots of sanding, lots of polishing, and we've got this. I haven't waxed it yet, but I have sanded it to 400 grit, and I've sander sealed it. I need to obviously still need to denib it, etc. But I've pushed the rod in there, polished this, or this half, because I'm only going to need a short piece for this one. So you can see my flat spot at the bottom there, and if I get my marker pen ready and with it in the button chuck here, I can find the dead center, and then that mark plus whatever's going in the base, which I'll measure in a moment. And obviously I need to mark up the base of where this rod's going to go. Because it's off center, it's not going to be in the dead middle of the wood, it's going to be off to one side. Bear that in mind in a moment as well. And we've got the other one. Whee! Looks like a spyglass or something. Right, same principle. Okay, drilling the base time. This is quite important that I don't mess this up. It took me, I don't know, half an hour to trim this up, put it through the planer, etc. I still need to sand all of this. This, I think, given that grain, that's gorgeous. That's going to come in this way with the smaller piece at the front, the bigger piece at the rear. I'll polish this up now, taking the sander sealer back and put wax on it. I've even waxed the backside just to clean up any dust, etc. It won't be shiny, but at least it looks clean. Distance wise, I'm going to have it just inside the rear line, and I've already measured, but either side of the rod, so I know how deep set I want it. I've done the same with the front piece. Also polished my rods up. There's just a bit of wax on there at the moment. Thank you to Gem of the Woods' father for that suggestion. I did know about wax and putting them in an 8mm rod, putting an 8mm hole, but I just failed to do it on my last video. I've measured that one, so again, that line is just inside there. Now, make sure that's central. Do that literally with my fingers and feeling the distance apart. And then I'll leave this till last before I drill the holes through that'll come through just on the ends here and here. Dab of glue temporarily. Need to line that up there, put this in the position where I think it should be, and then look very carefully through here to centralise that hole. I'm going to do that off camera because you don't want to see my head poking in and out all the time. Right, that's that drilled. Pop this back on. I will glue these on later. That looks lined up. That looks really quite central. Lovely. In between here will be the light ring. I'm going to go for dead middle of the most protruding points. I need to finish the base, wax that, give this to Lenore for gilding. I need to mark the holes and drill through the base for the holes for the screws that are going to hold this on with a bit of glue. You know what, actually, I might wait until this is gilded before I do the base, because that might determine exactly where I put that ring. Because originally I was going to put it in the dead middle, but I think with the light bounce, it's going to be interesting to maybe have it right up here, maybe have it right back here. Not sure yet. So let's take that to Lenore to get gilded, mark up the base, drill through, but in the meantime, while she's gilding that, I can sand and finish all this and start on another project. Yay! I finished this to a high grit. I put some nice little rubber feet on it, protect surfaces. I've marked it up with my stamp and a piece number, and that sits there lovely. All I've got to do left to do is drill a couple of holes through here, screw it up, put a bit of glue on, hold that ring on. Poke that in the hole. There's my gilded ring. I'll show you a better view in a moment. That's a better position. That needs running down. The back piece needs knocking down in as well. But position wise, I'm going to have it dead between the two. Let me put it all together and take some beauty shots. What I do need is some help. Help me name it. I need a name to go with this piece. Lenore nearly always names the pieces, but I'd love to be able to go in there with a barrage of potential names. Your suggestions and comments would be super. Appreciate it. Thanks very much. And yeah, see you soon.